I've tried filming this video 5 times, and I still haven't gotten a satisfactory result. Also, new channel name. Hey guys, BWL Railfan here, and this video will be a toilet collection video. I've been wanting to do another one of these since I made my first one back in late March, and I'm finally doing that now. A few things before we start. I'm gonna try and have this video like under 30 minutes if I can, or perhaps like 20 something. I'm hoping that. Two things. One, I'm going to be going over these toilets in alphabetical order, or showing them off in alphabetical order, so starting at A and going to the highest letter I have. And I am also going to be explaining the futures for these toilets. So in terms of me keeping them or getting rid of them, selling them, etc. So, yeah, we will start off with, oh yeah, it rained a bit, and I dumped the water out of the toilets. I tried to get another collection video filmed. I tried filming it this morning, like 15-20 minutes ago, but it was dragged out yet again, and so I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna try something new, and this is that something new, I guess. So I'm probably gonna like try and rush some of these, because yes. Anyway, our first toilet here is my 2020 American Standard Champion Pro that I found on the side of the road while on the way to church a few months back. I'm keeping this toilet in my collection because the base right there is broken, and so yeah, I cannot sell this toilet. And the tank for it is over here, which I'm going to show you really quick. It is gutted, as you can see. It originally had parts in it because, well, obviously I got a test video filmed of that, but I took all the tank parts out probably a few weeks ago maybe, and now all of them, with the exception of the tank bolts, are in the garage now, with uncertain futures, considering some of the parts have some damage. I guess a notable example is the fill valve. But yeah, anyway, it's enough about this toilet. Again, it's staying in my collection, and yeah, it has decent performance actually, but the Champion 4 flapper is kind of what like brings it down for me. The performance is like the only thing I like about this toilet. I don't like anything else about it really. Anyway, then move on to this one, which is my 1977 Crane Radcliffe toilet that I mentioned in the first collection video. That is original Clear's throat. This toilet is one of two that remains on this property, toilets that is original to the house. There is a bathroom back there, and that is where it was installed before the tank broke and it was removed and brought outside, and thus it was the first toilet in my collection back in 2017, I believe. 2017 or 2018. Bruh. There's kids watching this, probably. Maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah. This toilet's staying in my collection because it has cracks in the bowl and a crack in the base right there, and the tank is broken. So I would have to find a new tank for that as well if I really wanted to sell it. Here's part of the original tank right here, And as you can see, it has this kind of design. I don't know. I haven't really seen a Radcliffe, I don't think, on YouTube with like this exact like tank design. It kind of looks like a first generation, but I don't think it is. I mean, it's similar, but I think it's slightly different too. So yeah, not much else to talk about other than the fact that I've had to use my standard 4083 tank as kind of the main tank for it, but I might switch that over to either the John in the Box tank right there, or that tank, which goes to the last toilet. That will be in the to the last toilet I'll go over. So yeah, anyway, next toilet up is my 2017 Kohler Elmbrook toilet that I got from the neighbor's house after it had burned down. I kind of got permission to go in there and take this. There was another Elmbrook in there, but it didn't have a tank, and apparently it was broken. So yeah, since the last collection video I have of this, the inside of the bowl's been cleaned a bit more. I think I've done more work on the sides, and really all that's left is that little bit right there, the back of the tank, and the inside of the tank, which a good part of it is full of rust. So that's probably from the water, because we use well water out here, and this like water softeners and crap. So yeah, anyway, I would have considered selling this toilet, but it does have some minor damage, and overall I would probably want to keep this around anyway, because it's currently the only Kohler Class 5 I have, and I'd probably want to compare it to future Class 5s I obtain, or that, or perhaps that one right there, which I'll go over in a bit. But yeah, that's. Oh yeah, the reason I'm not gonna sell it, I don't know if I just mentioned this or not, or I don't think I showed the damage. I didn't actually. It has minor damage around there. You can see there's a glaze crack there in the rim, and there is some damage, I believe, on like the tank or tank lid, but I don't remember exactly where that damage is. It could be on the bulb, but again, I don't remember. Anyway, next toilet. And this is my rarest toilet. I actually have a video of this. I actually have a test video of this online, or on YouTube, with the current format, which is narration. And that is my 2004 Kohler Catherine, which again is my rarest toilet, out here anyway. I'll mention that later when I get to the blue guy over there. I got this toilet from the Restore. When I originally saw this, I didn't know what it was when I first went to the Restore. And then I remember people saying like, oh, this is rare and crap. And I guess lo and behold, this toilet, or this like generation, I guess, is pretty freaking rare, because there's only like 1 or 2 videos that I could find on YouTube of a Kohler Catherine Ingenium at all. And one of the videos, it was in black, interestingly, which is a color I kind of wouldn't expect to find one of these in. And besides, I don't know if I've even seen a black toilet out in the open at all. Maybe like one time, but I don't remember. But anyway, that will do for this toilet, because again, I have the test video uploaded, so I kind of like show off more of it. No, actually. This toilet's staying in my collection because it has some minor damage. The tank lid has minor damage, and there's a crack right there coming out of the siphon jet. Which is unfortunate, but at least it's not damaged to the extent of my Kohler Rialto right here, which is the next toilet I will be going over. And I'm going over it now, actually. So, this is my 1983 Kohler Rialto toilet that, was in the first collection video. And ever since the first collection video, it doesn't appear to have gotten any more damage, as far as I could see. You can see the tank lid, there. It's missing a chunk there, but it's somewhere around here. Probably still on the trampoline. And you can see the crack in there. Which, again, I had the toilet sitting outside during the winter, and I didn't dump the water out. And thus it has a crack there. And there's a spider right there enjoying a meal. And it doesn't want to focus, so I'm not going to bother trying to do that. I would have thought about selling this toilet, but I was honestly probably going to keep this anyway, because I personally like these toilets and like how they flush. Bowl rinse and clearance could be better, but it's not rim powered. The flush isn't anyway, so that's yeah. Overall, this toilet does have pretty decent performance, and actually outperformed like 2 toilets, I think, that I have in my collection, which is quite interesting considering what it is. So anyway, we'll move on to this one now, which is my 1964 Kohler Wellworth that I got from the Restore a while back, and this was in my first collection video. I have the first flush video of this toilet up. I think it's actually the last video I posted. It was either this or like the Imperial. Yeah, it was the Imperial first flush video. That was the last uploaded, I think. And then this came before it. It was a long form video because I filmed it sideways. Because I did the test video, the original test video, this sideways, and I was originally gonna include the first flush in the test videos back then before I switched over to narration. Fun fact. Hence the reason it's long form. Here's the tank right here, which is missing a bolt, but we had to saw it off after it kind of got rusted in place. You can see the part of the handle right there. I'm gonna jiggle it a bit, I think. Yeah, you can see it moving in there. I'm going to be keeping this because of how old it is, and overall it's not the best. Kohler has definitely like improved like the Wellworth design with this. But overall, I still like this toilet. Something to note though, it does not do well with dirt tests. Which you will see in the test video whenever that comes out. So, yeah, not too much planned, for this now, or right now in terms of tests. If I ever, like, obtain a flushometer or something for whatever reason, if it's compatible with this somehow, I might try and do that. But that's long in the future, if that ever even happens. So, yeah, that's the current situation with this one. It's probably just going to sit around. I could try and get more videos out of it by making the tests a whole lot more miserable by using this Wellworth tank that goes with that bowl. And considering what I said earlier of dirt tests, God, God knows what that would be like. It'd be a lot worse. Anyways, enough about that. Oh yeah, that was my oldest toilet beforehand, and now it's not. And that one holds the title now, which I'll get into later. Alright, moving on to this toilet here, which is my 2005 Kohler Wellworth, my only other Wellworth in my collection so far. I got this from down the road. There was a church that this was originally installed in, but they removed it, either because they were replacing all their toilets at the time, which I think they said was the case, but I'm not certain, or it was because the base broke. I do remember hearing that this toilet sat in the closet for a while. I don't know why. I think it was because they put this out for bulk pickup, but I ended up getting to it first, and thus it is safe in my collection. And yeah, so I wonder why they didn't do that with the other toilets. Hence the reason why I'm somewhat skeptical and all the toilets being replaced. But it could have been for other reasons, I'm not sure. Here's the tank right here that I mentioned a second ago. And as you can see, it doesn't have a handle. And in the test video I have of this toilet, I have an interesting solution for that. And perhaps you might be able to see inside of the tank a bit instead of just seeing the flapper. Yeah, you can see in there. You can partially see the fill valve, I think, in there. Or part of it. That's what that blue part was. But yeah. Not much else to say about this other than, well, I can't sell this toilet because the base is broken and it can't even be installed, really, considering the other side that would have the bolt hole thing is broken off, so I would have to glue that back together, but then it would probably break off again because it's glue. So yeah, this is staying in my collection, and I would definitely like to find another one of these. There was this is possibly a future toilet for whenever I do go back to the Restore. When I was at the Restore last, there was a 2004, I believe, round Kohler Thresham, or no, Memoris. So that might be a future toilet to the collection, if it's still there when I go back. Anyway, moving on to Mansfield now. I have 3 Mansfield toilets, and all of them are in different colors. So let's get started. Here is my 1995 Mansfield Alto that I got from the Restore a while back, and I actually have the test video of this toilet uploaded. It's currently one of 2 so far, at least in the new format that I think I mentioned earlier. This is one of the rare examples of me actually having plans for this toilet. And if everything does go to plan, I'm not gonna say too much for right now. But this toilet, if everything goes to plan, this toilet should be at a new home and it should be in use again. And installed, because this still works. So it's not gonna be turned to like a planter or something. But yeah, anyway. There's the tank right there. And crap. And not really much else to talk about other than the fact that even though I mentioned this in both the test videos I currently have up, this tank lid right here is not original to that Alto. There was an identical one at the Restore, and I switched out the tank lids because that one was more cleaner and not as stained as the one that went with this one. I was having a bit of trouble finding it for a second. But yeah, not much else to say about this one, and we will move on now. Alright, here is our next toilet, which is my 1977 Mansfield Imperial. Starting off, this toilet is original to the house, and because of that because of that alone, this is staying in my collection because it's iconic, and it's been in use ever since earlier this year, and ever since we moved in, this has been there. So again, lots and lots of memories of this toilet being in use. And as you can see, it's in blue, and I still have yet to restore it. I was originally gonna try and wait until I did restore it to make a collection video, but God knows when that will happen. Here's the tank right there. And the tank lid right there. So yeah, again, this is staying in my collection, and I currently don't have plans for any videos unless I want to do a similar thing with the Wellworth and make it miserable with the Alto tank on it, because the bolts should line up in theory, unlike the when I tried to put the Wellworth tank on my Alto, which didn't work because the bolts don't line up. So don't try that if for some reason you did think about that. But yeah, not much else to say about that one, so we'll move on to this one. This is my my other Imperial in my collection, which is from 1986. And as you can see, it's in a kind of a beige color, which is cool in my opinion. First things first, even though I will mention this in the test video that I have no idea when it will be posted. I made a short about this toilet the day I got it, and I said this was a second generation Imperial. Oh my god. But that is in fact not correct, because the second generation Imperials retain this bottom lip thing right there, similar to what this has. But third generation and onwards, they do not have the bottom lip. And besides, this is from 1986, and the third generation Imperials started being made the year prior in 1985. And it went from 1985 to 1989, by the way. I don't really know what the changes were from the third to fourth generation, but I'm going to assume it was probably like tank parts or something, because this tank right here, I believe, is from 1991, meaning it would have been from a fourth generation Imperial, I believe, unless the source I read it from was wrong. This should be from a fourth generation Imperial, considering it was made 2 years after the third generation Imperial production ended, unless they were made until like early 1990, because I know the third generation Wellworths were made up into early 1965, and this one is from very late 1964, December of 1964. But yeah, the future of this toilet is most likely it's going to stay in my collection, but due to it not having any damage as far as I could find, and overall having a pretty decent performance, in terms of like bowl clearance and crap. I could consider selling this if I really wanted to, but for now it's gonna stay here. One thing I gotta say is that Mansfield, I think, definitely did improve the design from the first generation. Though the trapway might be a little bit smaller, which kind of makes it not too good, because it didn't do quite as well, I don't think, as the first generation did in performance. But again, in terms of bowl clearance, it does really well compared to that. So anyways, on to our next toilet, which is this one right here. I definitely didn't forget to go over this in the 5th attempt this morning. So here is my 2017 Nisapro toilet. And if you remember from the first collection video that I made where I showed this, oh wait, there's a spider somewhere in here. There he is. I can't really show you it too well. Actually, I can. I'll just put it on its side. But, bam, siphon jet channel is broken out. So therefore, this toilet's staying in my collection. But also because these things suck from what I've seen and heard. And there is I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a ground bee or what. Kind of does look like one though. Hopefully I'm not gonna disturb it. But as you can see there, it has some glaze cracks / actual cracks. I think they're glaze cracks on the side right there. And there's quite a bit of cracks in the ball as well. And I may or may not have partially broken that spider's web. I don't remember seeing that one right there. I wonder if it's gained some from the past, or perhaps I was there before. But yeah, this toilet, the future for this one, I'm thinking I'm probably gonna make this into a planter, actually, which I cannot say for any of the other toilets here. So this toilet will technically be in use again instead of just sitting around. I mean, it will be sitting around, but it will have a purpose at least. So I guess that's a somewhat happy ending for a now broken toilet. So, yeah. Alright, next toilet is my Peerless John the Box 1988 Peerless John the Box toilet that I got. This is actually the first toilet I ever got from the Restore, and thus it's kind of I would say special, but I don't know. I'm gonna be keeping this toilet in my collection because one, it's older and I like older toilets, and two, because it has minor damage inside of the base. There was a chip around, like, at the front on the inside. Yeah, I personally am not the biggest fan of how these things flush. Probably because they don't, like, when they're swirling and getting ready to siphon, they don't begin siphoning when they're swirling. I think it's because the swirl's kind of broken by how the rim jets are set up. But, yeah. Again, I'm going to be keeping this. An incident involving this toilet as of late is that the 4083 tank right here, this one that I mentioned earlier, I think, was still on there because one of the bolts had rusted, or one of the nuts had rusted into the bolt. Similar, I believe, to what is happening with this one right here. I'll probably have to get sawed off in the future. But it was sitting over there, like in the midst of when I was trying to film collection videos, because again, I've tried that 5 times over the span of like a week, a little over a week actually, I think. But in between those times, it was sitting over there, and because of the uneven ground, it actually fell over onto its right side. And thankfully it didn't receive any damage, but yeah, that was an interesting incident. And thus I my dad sawed off the bolt that was being funky, and thus I'll probably have to find new bolts to use for this tank in the future. So yeah, that's it on this toilet. Now time to move on to this one over here, which is my 2010 Toto Supreme, and this is this is another one of the rare examples of a toilet that I'm actually thinking about selling, or at least getting rid of, because it's, as far as I can tell, in good shape, almost perfect shape. I haven't found a single crack on this, I don't believe, but I would have to replace quite a bit of things if I wanted to sell it, such as the seat and lid, this part, probably the whole handle because it's kind of like corroded looking there, and the flapper because it is it leaks, and possibly the fill valve, but this seems to do a pretty decent job, so I might as well clean that, or if I wanted to. And also these weird things right there, which is how the toilet came. It came with those when it was being sold on Facebook Marketplace. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the toilet I was gonna mention when I got to this one was my 2011 Mirabelle toilet, the Mirabelle MIRBR 200A, which I said was a rebranded Aquasource Drayton when it was in the garage in the first collection video. But I think the Aquasource Drayton is actually a rebrand of the Mirabelle line. I'm hoping I'm right on that. I think I am. But yeah. Where was I at? Oh yeah, this one. So yeah, as I mentioned, I am going to probably sell this, or think about selling it. Alright, now on to the last toilet. And I'm actually making better time than the last video, because one, I forgot to mention the Nisa Pro over there in that video, and two, because I actually got under 40 minutes. So, let's go. Here is my 1963 Universal Rundle Climax, which recently took the crown of being the oldest toilet in my collection, with the original being the 64 Wellworth, which is a year younger. I got this toilet from the Restore, and I actually have a short of it, of me discovering it and crap. You may have seen that one. I'm not sure. Man, if only I could put like more than one related video per video, I would do that. So yeah. I also forgot to mention what was gonna happen to this one in the last attempted collection video. This is definitely gonna stay in my collection because one, it's the oldest toilet here, and it's also Universal Rundle, and thus the first Universal Rundle in my collection. I also think these are probably a bit rarer because I didn't even know this model existed, I don't think. All I knew of was the Castle, which has a different base design and probably different tank. So yeah. There's a Restore video I made the day I went there and got this, and I might post that in the future. And I thought this was a Castle or a Mercury, but the Mercuries have different trap designs, so ignore that when I say that. Or I think that was in the one I'm probably gonna upload. But enough about that. As you can see, it doesn't look to have been the best performer while it was installed, and it definitely looks like it was probably a frequent clogger, judging by all of that in the bowl, which is almost no doubt from it being snaked a bunch of times. So yeah, there's the tank right there, which has absolutely no tank parts, unfortunately. I'll have to find some at some point. I tried experimenting with some parts like handles from some of my other tanks, but none of them really worked too well. Here's the tank lid right here, and thank God this was here, or this was at the restore, because if that wasn't the case, I would have never found out what year this toilet was from, because I couldn't read the print in the tank. You can see right there, April 10th of 1963. I don't know what the 3 stands for. I wonder if that could be like color code or something, but I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't know what 3 means. So yeah, with all that being said, that will do it for this collection video, since that was the last toilet I had to go over. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all next time. Peace.